So what we're doing is we're going to make some hummus. So you're going to need garlic. I like to get a good big bulb. So garlic, lemon juice, sesame tahini. Some people don't make it with that, I do. 1 or 2 cans of garbanzo beans and salt. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is skin a bunch of garlic. So I'll be right back once that's done. Okay, this is a blender that came with a food processor attachment. Okay, can you do this in a blender? Yes, in fact you can if you really wanted to. You can make hummus in a blender. You're just going to make sure you have a spatula to scrape the sides a lot as you go, because it doesn't make as easily in a blender as it does in a food processor. I'm making a double batch. It doesn't really seem to make that much. I think it makes about 2 cups. So I'm making a double batch, and that's why you're going to see, that's why I use 2 cans, and that's why I use more. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to cream the juice and the sesame tahini together, okay? So you're going to shake up your lemon juice, and I am going to put in, if you're only making one, if you're only going to make 1 can, if you're only going to make a single batch, you use 2 tablespoons. I'm making a double batch, so I'm going to use 4. So you put your lemon juice in there, and this is not rocket science. This is not to be a perfect science, okay? That's one of the best things about making hummus, is that you can make it however you like it. Okay, now a word about tahini. This is tahini. It's a sesame seed butter. When you buy it, you're going to notice that it kind of coagulates. All the oil kind of like separates. So what you're going to have to do is get a butter knife and shove it down in there and stir it. Okay? Just going to stir it just like this. Just until you remix that oil. You know. And it's not going to get really thick. Sesame tahini is not really thick when it is not cold. So, or when it is room temperature. Okay. So, now, if you're only going to make 1 batch, you're going to use 3 tablespoons. If you're going to make a double batch, you're going to use 6 tablespoons. And I'm going to use 1/8 of a cup. 1/8 of a cup is 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to put 3 of these in here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the lemon juice and the tahini in there, and now we're going to add the garlic. It says to use 2 cloves if you're going to make a single batch. I really like garlic, as you can see, so I'm using quite a bit more than 2. I'm using 7. You could just shove it into the food processor without crushing it first, but I found that it doesn't work as well, so I'm going to crush mine first. I'll be right back. Okay, now I've got the garlic, the tahini, and the lemon juice in there, and I'm going to process this for probably about 30 seconds on about medium. Be right back. Okay, why does it turn out better if you cream that stuff together before you add the garbanzo beans? I don't know, it just does. So now there's can 1 I just added, and then the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of water. I have found out that if you use juice from the can, it ends up tasting better too. And this is another tip I picked up from some website. So you're going to put in 1/4 cup juice from the can. Now I'm going to drain the can, rinse the beans, and add it in there. Hang on one second. Even though I'm making a double batch, yes, I still only use 1/4 cup of liquid. So I'm going to put the beans in there, and I'm going to go ahead and add the salt. Be very careful when you start adding salt, because if you overdo it, you're not going to like it, you're not going to eat it. So I use about a teaspoon of sea salt per double batch. That's what I start out with. I might add another ½ teaspoon when we're done, depending on how it tastes. So now I have everything in there. I'm going to process this, I don't know, just as long as it takes to get to a good consistency. If you're using a blender, you're going to turn the blender on, let it go for a while, and then you're going to scrape the sides down. The food processor does all that for me. I don't have to scrape anything. So if you're using a blender, get your spatula ready to scrape down the sides. But if you're using your processor, just let it go at it. Okay, be right back. Okay, I did end up adding like another ½ teaspoon of salt. And this, you know, hummus, it can be, if this is too thick for you, add a little bit more water. It's just how I like it. You are supposed to add another fourth cup per can of liquid. Now you transfer it to a large bowl, refrigerate it. It tastes a lot better cold. Then you can have it with either some crackers or some pita bread, or the way that I do it is I have a 1/3 cup at a time with a bunch of vegetables, and I use it as a dip. This has been Cooking with Leah, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. Happy eating! Okay, I left out, just play around with the recipe. You might like more lemon juice, you might like less lemon juice, more tahini, less tahini, you know, more liquid, less liquid. And then there's always a bunch of stuff you can add. You could add mushrooms, you could add olives, you could add, some people use red bell pepper, you could add onions, you could add, just, you know, just think about any, you know, just, your imagination is the only limit, basically. And so, yeah, I think that's all I have. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.